The Story of Maruska.
Once upon a time, in a faraway village nestled within the hills of the Czech Republic, there lived a kind-hearted young girl named Maruska. She lived with her cruel stepmother, Marta, and her selfish stepsister, Helena. Marta doted on her own daughter, spoiling Helena with every comfort, while Maruska was given all the household chores and barely enough food to survive. Despite her hardships, Maruska remained gentle and kind, a true beauty both inside and out. Her stepmother's jealousy burned fiercely every time she looked at her. Helena, lazy and entitled, bullied Maruska constantly, eating cakes and pastries all day while Maruska worked tirelessly. One cold January morning, Marta sat by the fire complaining about the harsh winter. "Oh, how I long for the scent of sweet spring violets," she sighed. Hearing this, Helena's eyes gleamed with a sly idea. "Maruska," she called, "go into the forest and pick some violets for mother." Maruska looked at her sister in disbelief. "But, dear sister, violets can't grow under the snow," she said softly. Helena's face twisted with anger. "How dare you question me? Do as I say, or mother and I will throw you out." Reluctantly, Maruska put on her thin coat and stepped out into the icy cold. Snow crunched beneath her feet as she trudged through the forest, knowing full well she wouldn't find any violets. As she wandered deeper into the woods, she saw a strange, warm light ahead. Curious, Maruska followed the light and found herself in a clearing. In the center was a roaring fire surrounded by 12 men, each with a unique appearance. 3 of them were very old with long white hair, 3 were slightly younger with fiery red hair, and 3 were youthful with golden hair and shining eyes. The last 3, the youngest of all, had radiant skin and bright eyes. These men were the 12 months, guardians of time and nature. Great January, an imposing figure with snow-white hair, sat on a throne holding a heavy club. Maruska, trembling, approached them. "Please, kind sirs, may I warm my hands at your fire?" January nodded kindly. "Why are you alone in the snowy forest, little girl?" Maruska explained her plight, her voice quivering. "My stepsister sent me to pick violets, but they don't grow in winter. If I don't bring some back, they'll throw me out." January stood and handed his club to the month of March. "Take my seat, brother," he said. March sat down and waved the club over the fire. Instantly the snow melted, trees began to bud, and daisies peeped through the grass. Spring had arrived in the clearing. A carpet of sweet violets sprang up around Maruska. "Pick them quickly, Maruska," March smiled. Maruska gathered a handful of violets, her heart brimming with gratitude. She thanked the 12 months with all her heart and hurried home. When Helena and Marta saw the violets, they were astonished. "Where did you find these?" Helena demanded, grabbing the flowers. "In a forest clearing," Maruska replied simply. That night, Helena sulked, scheming a new plan. The next morning, she turned to Maruska with a spiteful smile. "Go to the forest again. I am craving fresh strawberries." Maruska's heart sank. "But sister, strawberries don't grow in the snow." "Don't argue with me. Get me some strawberries or I will throw you out," Helena shouted. Once more, Maruska ventured into the freezing forest. She was relieved to find the 12 months still around their fire. "Please, kind sirs, can you help me again?" she pleaded. January nodded and handed his club to June. "Take my seat, brother," he said. June sat on the throne and swung the club over the fire. The snow melted away, and the forest transformed into a vibrant summer paradise. Wildflowers bloomed, and the forest floor was dotted with ripe red strawberries. "Pick them quickly, Maruska," June urged. Maruska filled her apron with strawberries, thanked the 12 months, and hurried home. Helena and Marta were shocked once more. "Where did you find these strawberries?" Helena asked, grabbing them greedily. In a forest clearing, Maruska replied. Without a word of thanks, Helena and Marta devoured the strawberries. The next morning, Helena's greed knew no bounds. Maruska, go to the forest and fetch me some red apples. Maruska protested. But sister, how can I pick apples in winter? Don't argue. Bring me apples or it's the end of you, Helena screamed, pushing Maruska out the door. This time, Maruska went straight to the clearing where the 12 months sat. Please, kind sirs, my stepsister has threatened my life if I don't bring her some red apples. Can you help me? January nodded and handed his club to September. Take my seat, brother, he said. September sat down and waved the club over the fire. The snow melted, leaves turned golden, and an apple tree heavy with ripe fruit appeared. Shake the tree quickly, Maruska. September smiled. Maruska shook the tree and 2 apples fell down. She picked them up, thanked the 12 months, and hurried home. Helena and Marta were astonished once more. Where did you find these apples? Helena demanded, snatching them away. In a forest clearing, Maruska replied. Why did you only bring 2? Did you eat the rest? Helena snapped. No, sister. I shook the tree and only 2 apples fell down, Maruska explained. Helena and Marta bit into the apples, their eyes lighting up with delight. They had never tasted anything so delicious. Desperate for more, Helena grabbed her coat. Mother, we can't trust this little thief. I'll fetch us more apples. Helena marched into the forest. The snow was deep and the way was hard, but she eventually found the clearing where the 12 months sat. She pushed her way through them to warm her hands on the fire. Why are you all alone in the snowy forest, little girl? January asked kindly. Mind your own business, old fool. Helena scowled and stormed off. January recognized her and swung his club. Thick gray clouds gathered and heavy snow began to fall. Helena soon lost her way, tumbling into snowdrift after snowdrift. After many hours, her body grew stiff and cold, and she began to freeze. Back at home, Marta grew impatient. I bet she's keeping the apples all to herself, she muttered. She put on her coat and set out to find Helena. Maruska waited anxiously as the storm raged on, but neither her stepsister nor her stepmother ever returned. January had given them icy bodies to match their cold hearts. At last, Maruska was free from her bullies. She lived peacefully, her kind heart and gentle spirit bringing joy to everyone she met. She often visited the clearing where the 12 months sat, always grateful for their help and friendship. And so Maruska lived happily ever after, a testament to the power of kindness and courage,